Okay, check this one out. Slaves, obey your masters. Masters, don't abuse your slaves. Um, People like to discredit the Bible because they say it encourages slavery. That makes no apologies for it either. Here's my thinking. It's written in Greek, right? Greek society is built on slavery, um, or at least Roman was, wasn't it? I should probably fact check before I post, but so they had a slave class, and they had women, then they had working class men, then they had diplomats, right? Something along those lines. Go ahead and fact check me. What's he going to do? Stage a revolution to liberate the slaves? He's trying to help them, trying to help people that are becoming Christians, people who's already in slavery. They're owned by other humans, their property. So he's trying to liberate them spiritually. Don't receive a yoke again to slave for your bondage. And then yet again, in the natural, you're still a slave. You're a free man spiritually, but in the natural, you're a slave. Now, in America, slavery was abolished many years ago. Thank God. The humans voted. They told God, we don't like slavery anymore, and we got rid of it. And God didn't argue about it, did he? Slavery is still conducted in some parts of the world, but it's highly frowned upon so much that they're probably going to attempt to put an end to it everywhere it exists. We don't traffic humans anymore. The humans decided that's uncalled for. It's just not right. So we get that right. We are a sovereign nation under God. So were they. So, yeah, Greek came first. That's right. Okay. So they were democratic. The Romans brought in the Republican form of democracy, which we kind of took in. We took elements of democracy, Republican form of government, and monarchy as well. So we have oligarchs and stuff like that. It seems like now, or what do they call that? Anyway, we have diplomacy. We have all of those different elements of government that come from various parts of the world in different times, and we almost have like a monarch that is the president, but he's checked by other forms of government. So government has evolved over time. If you look in the Bible and the Old Testament, you see slavery existed. What you also see is a lot of Moses. So scripture is inspired by God, but people were people. You find the personality of the prophets and the apostles in their writings. It's not as though God Himself, Spirit, took and penned the scriptures. They were working it out with God as a guide, period. End of discussion. So these are humans. Don't throw out the whole Bible because you find slavery in it, or murder, or rape, or something like that. This is something that God condoned, people say. I say, war is war. Humans are humans. God is God. God is above, not beneath. You don't decide that God is evil because humans had slavery and the people that were trying to govern decided that some people were property and some people were owners of human property. So that's, I'm not apologizing for it. I'm explaining it. I make no apologies. In that time, I don't think that I would have done anything differently. He did actually, excuse me, unaccidentally instruct masters who were Christians not to abuse their slaves. So there you have it. And when it says to obey the law of the land, people argue that that was penned in by the British monarchs, the Church of England, the Crown, whatever it was. Maybe, maybe not. What is to be noted by that? That it has lasted and stood the test of time. That it's still in most of the Bibles that exist today, whether Catholic or Protestant, is that It seems that God esteems the law of the land to be held in reverence by people who live under a government system of the world. If we stage a revolution and we win, it seems that God has smiled upon our endeavor. And that's the way it is. So if slaves wanted to escape, if there were Christian slaves who felt their masters were being too hard on them, too abusive, and they got away, and let's say they killed them and got away, there were murders that took place. God is the judge of all that. God looks at the heart of the matter and not the outward appearance. So what would you do? You're responsible, mind you, for establishing the church of Christ in all the earth. And you have time to stage a slave revolution when you've got all these other details to work out, explaining the Torah from a whole new covenant. These people were under persecution. So there's a lot of Moses, there's a lot of Jeremiah, there's a lot of Elijah, there's a lot of the Tishbite, there's a lot of Elisha, there's a lot of Jezebel, people that want to discredit the scriptures because they think God was unfair. It is what it is. In all fairness, maybe God just didn't care that much about human affairs so much as he cared about changing people's hearts at the time so that he could stage the future to do away with slavery in the future. Who knows? God's ways are higher than your ways. God's thoughts are higher than your thoughts. Stop being an ass about it and consider that you could have been just looking for an out, looking for an excuse to discredit the apostles. So good luck working that out. I won't argue about it anymore.